We often think of design as just making things look good. But in reality, design goes beyond aesthetics. I know, we have heard this phrase a lot of time before. And that's so real. Design shapes our decision in a way we don't even realize. And that is exactly invisible influence of design is all about. And also our topic for today. We're going to see just how deep that influence goes and how many levels we are already influenced by such practices. But before starting out, please let me introduce myself. It's not working.
While we are doing this, I just want to take a quick survey. So since we are having a session regarding design, who here are designers? Can they raise your hands? Only one? Okay, I'm seeing the hands being raised. And developers? Ooh, we see the dominance of developers around. And content creators or content marketers? Entrepreneurs? Okay. WordPress enthusiasts? Okay, I was eager to see that. Okay, are we ready?
Alright, so let's start by introducing myself. I'm Aasika Sharma, final year student of Digital Communication from NIAD Delhi. And over past 8 months I worked as an intern on diverse design projects and case studies. During my internship, I got deep understanding about how businesses influence design and how design in return influences users. Yeah, not back to business, but users. As a user myself, I felt so disheartened. This whole realization really changed the way how I look at the digital world today. And I hope this will also change how you see it too. Okay, I guess now we are good to start. Let's start with a very simple question. How many of you have ever clicked on accept cookies? Without even thinking twice, most of us, right? For the sake of uninterrupted browsing experience, we often click on such buttons throughout our day multiple times. And for the impulsive and reflective, you go. Excuse me. So, let's start with a very simple question. How many of you have ever clicked on this button, this accept cookies, without even thinking twice? Most of us, right? We do it without any second thought. We take it as just a normal, tiny, harmless click. What could possibly go wrong? But what if I told you the button you are clicking throughout the day just for the sake of uninterrupted browsing experience can bring in the consequences very near to you? Let's understand what happens right from the moment you accept the cookies. The moment you accept the cookies, you give websites permission to track everything. And by everything means everything. Your clicks, your pauses, where you spend the most time, where you spend the least time, how long you hesitate before making any decision. It's all being recorded. There are multiple mediums to record such interactions, sometimes through heat maps, sometimes through tracking pixels, or maybe through session recordings. However possible, it's been recorded. You don't even realize that you are browsing on the internet freely, but you are always a part of an experiment. An experiment you might not even sign up for. An experiment you might not even aware of. Now, let me tell you a very strange thing. How is it possible we all are experiencing the same action for the same buttons, because throughout the day we came across such buttons a lot of time. It's just a season fatigue thing that we don't want to think a lot, don't want to read what are those cookies actually for. We just quickly click on the button which is already in active mode. And that's when the main concept of deceptive patterns come. Deceptive patterns are that responsible factor which is very common in almost every website, and these are the tricks used in websites and apps to make you do something you might not really want to do. And that's exactly invisible influence is all about. Now let's discuss the very first deceptive pattern we came across mostly throughout our browsing experience. And this is the very first deceptive pattern you came across. Abscond option. Abscond option falls under visual interference, making one option significantly easier to select by keeping it in active mode almost every time. Cookie consent banner has this a lot of time. We see both the options are never same. The one they want us to nudge in that direction is always present in active mode. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it should be your decision whether you want to accept, reject, or maybe you want to customize your cookie. It's not something we all are aware what are cookie referring to, what does that mean. So there should be a clear, transparent message for the users to understand what they are accepting for the browsing experience. Now, abscond option has a lot of cons and a lot of pros as well. For the people who are not very tech savvy or who are not very comfortable with the browsing industry, they often move through or nudge in a particular direction because of such interactions, such options. My mom is actually a live example of this. She's not very much into tech and everything, but being a very active mobile banking user, she knows more than me how to send money to somebody, how to transfer, how to receive. She is very much frequent in that particular thing, only because these dark patterns who are guiding her to move in this journey. I'm not saying everybody are processing the message fully while browsing the internet. They click on that button. You might have known that sometimes we click on delete and later we get that second banner which says, are you sure you want to delete? And you get your conscience back and you cancel that button. Has that ever happened to you? Yes, that is because we are not reading the message fully. We are not processing the message, but we are acting toward it. That impulsive and that impatiency is the advantage which is held by industry and making such dark patterns win. Just by saying that, I would like you to meet the second dark pattern which is very common. Roj model. Roj model is that dark pattern which you came across almost every day, but for a very minor seconds, which you can see in sign up and cancellation subscription. This is the irony. You find it easy to create an account, maybe less than a second, just click on that continue with blank button, and when it comes to cancel a subscription, it's a complete hassle. You find yourself stuck in a maze, and that's when the Roj model wins. Now, let me tell you what happens the Roj model does. It wants you to focus on conversion rate. Businesses are here for the short-term gains. They don't think about the users are actually frustrated by the end of the time you are trying to cancel the subscription. So instead of that, why don't they work on retention rate? A clear access points to all the terms and conditions directly on the sign-up page, respects users' time, action and rights. But no, this is not something you will get to see on every page. That is what we are here to discuss, that we should bring the awareness and use the data very ethically. Now, let's talk about what happens to all the data. We have seen people are using so much data which are going through so much dark patterns. They are grabbing from here and there, they're trying to get your sign-ups and trying to access your email address as quick as possible. As we know, auto sign-up has made this even worse. These were introduced for our convenience so that we don't have to hassle with the manually entering the email address or remembering the data or our passcode. But it has made it even worse by just letting us not think but inside the site without even thinking much. Now let's quickly understand what happens to the data. This data is being sold. The starter is being sold to big tech, to advertisers, to corporations who just don't want to understand your choices, but listen me very carefully, who just don't want to understand your choices, but want to predict them and influence them. Let's take an example, a very good example. Have you ever thought about something and suddenly there's an ad for it? That happens, right? And that is very commonly happening with all of us. There might be people who might not think too much and take it as, what's the big deal? If these things are happening and they are using my data to show me relevant ads, so that's not a big problem. If that is what in your head, here's the real question. What else can be shaped? The news you see, the products you trust, the beliefs you form. After all, this is age of social media. We often hear about such practices from internet, and we make our initial judgment over any perception through first the narratives which are floating around in the internet. So whatever is your head at the very first is because of such interactions. But what happens if these interactions are positive? If the narrative isn't positive, it can take a lot of effort to change that initial judgment. And let me tell you that initial judgment is something which is making the future more precise or more deliberate. But let's get to the main question. What do we do about it? We have understood there are multiple dark patterns which are used not for us but for the business perspective. I'm not saying these are all the bad or negative thing. No, there are ways which are used for the positive side, like how they nudge or direct people or guide them. After all, design is a tool. It can be used for guide or manipulate both. So why to worry? We have some responsibilities which we can hold up and make this thing more clear. Let's start with the businessers. How can a businessman actually make this thing possible? Please try to understand profit is not something which everyone are looking for. Work on conversion, work on retention rate more than conversion rate. What kind of user base we are setting? If they will leave this site after next minute, they will unsubscribe and they will never look at your site ever again. By frustrating the user, you are not gaining their trust. So what kind of profit we are assuming at the cost of their trust? So please focus on retention rate more than conversion rate. Be transparent to user and let the user decide if they want to be a part of your website or not. As designers and developers, we also have one role and very important role to play. After all, we are the executors of these designs. We are the ones who are presenting design problems and giving the solutions to users. If we will work on more ethical designing and try to figure out how to achieve those business goals with help of such good practices, we can actually bring the difference. And at the last, users, you have only one role. Please be more aware of the practices which are going on. Please be more aware of the practices which we are getting through our entire day. And the more we notice, the more power we hold back. And that's the beauty of design. Now, at the end of the day, let me wrap the session with last 3 takeaways. Number 1, think twice before accepting cookies. Number 2, don't throw your email address everywhere. Your email address is not just a username, it's a legit fingerprint. So please place it carefully. And at the end, caution the design intent, whatever you notice. Because as I said earlier, the more you notice, the more power you hold back. Thank you very much, everyone.
That was quite sharp, structured and significant. Definitely data privacy and ethics is something that's keep on going and there's so much to explain, and thank you so much for voicing out this important topic, and we have a small token of love for her as well. Let's give her a round of applause once again.